welcome back. My name is Brittany. In today's video, I'm going to be reviewing the FARSEER Trilogy by Robin Hobb. This series contains The Assassin's Apprentice, Royal Assassin, and Assassin's Quest. And these are chunky. This last book is like 800 pages. So you are in for a journey. When I got into reading seriously as a hobby a couple years ago, I kind of picked up the classics and just like the big names in fantasy, Robin Hobb being one of them. And I'd always heard her works were pretty amazing without really like knowing why or what I was getting into. Can confirm is pretty awesome. I binged the audiobooks for the entire FARSEER trilogy sometime last month in about like a week or two time frame. First of all, the audiobooks by Boehmer were done really well. I feel like he embodied Fitz chivalry for me. But I am glad to have finally started this journey and hopefully take some of you along for the ride. If you have never read or heard of Robin Hobb, Realm of the Elderlings, or any of it, join me. So I just want to chat about Robin Hobb for a second because I think her life experience is pretty interesting and also just kind of special for me. So Robin Hobb grew up in Fairbanks, Alaska, which is in the interior, and then she had left for college, lived in Hawaii, and then her and her husband came back to Kodiak, Alaska, which is a coastal town, where she was working as a waitress, raising babies, and her husband was a fisherman. And that is where she got the inspiration for the Live Ship Traders, which is one of the series in her realm she's created. Her time in Alaska is super formative, and you can definitely see some of her experience come across on the page. Mainly, when she was growing up, she had, this is all just from the internet, but Wikipedia, but she reportedly had like a half dog, half wolf companion, and there's a wolf companion in this trilogy, so I just think that's all really neat. There's one other cool Alaska tie-in that I will talk about in a little bit as far as the Realm of the Six Duchies, but for now, that's just all I wanted to say. I don't know, I just finished the series and honestly just started geeking out about her as an author and realizing she lived in Alaska and I'm in Alaska, like just, oh, that's really cool. So I just like wanted to bring that up because I think it's neat, and I think it just was a cool connection for me to learn about and then just appreciate her writing and experience even more. So what is the Realm of the Elderlings? Robin Hobb is actually a pseudonym, but this is her pen name, author name for all of the stories that fall within this world, and there are 16 books. What I have on the screen is actually the preferred reading order for the FARSEER trilogy and the Realm of the Elderlings as a whole. This is from Robin Hobb's website. There are some other ways you could read this series, but I think for like maximum enjoyment and emotional gut punch, which I am here for, I'm here for that, I'm gonna read it this way. You will see on the screen, it is a couple different trilogies. We start with the FARSEER trilogy, then we go on to the Live Ship Trader trilogy, the Tawny Man trilogy, the Rainwild Chronicles, which is 4 books, and then we finish off with the Fitz and the Fool trilogy. I don't want to know too much going into the rest of these books, but what I've heard and the brief little research I did very carefully leads me to the understanding that while these stories are somewhat contained within each like grouping, there's an overarching plot within the realm, and in the last book, the Assassin's Fate, this actually concludes not only Fitz's story, but also the Live Ship Traders and the Rainwild Chronicles. So all of these things are occurring in the same world. We are starting off in the Six Duchies, which is where Fitz's story takes place, and then we get references to the Six Duchies in the Live Ship Traders, which I am working on the first book right now. Almost done. So I'm going to talk about the books. I'm going to try not to do spoilers because one would be mad if I was watching this and like got something spoiled for the first time. But I do want you to at least have an idea of what you're getting into and just give you some things to look forward to. The FARSEER trilogy follows Fitz from 6 years old to about 1920. There is action in this book, political intrigue, scheming, marriage alliances, death, but I would say it's not an action-packed book. The pacing is a little bit on the slower side, and I think that's because it is a first-person retrospective narrative style. So right off the bat, it is established that Fitz is telling us his life. At the beginning of the chapters, there are little like sections that kind of give you some extra information, some history that kind of alludes you to maybe what you might encounter in the rest of the chapter, and just additional backstory. But it starts off with Fitz writing his story down. I think one skill of Robin Hobb's writing is that while we know Fitz is alive long enough to tell us what happened when he was younger, I frequently found myself forgetting that. And I'm like, how is he going to get out of the situation at like 10 years old or 14, or this thing that happens when he's 18? Like, how's this going to wrap up? But he does make it alive to tell us the story. So I just thought that was interesting, how it can be, you know, someone telling you what's going on, but when you actually go back in time, you're so immersed that you forget they actually live. So I thought that was really skillfully done. This is also something I would describe as a deep character study. If you like character-driven stories, I really think you would enjoy this trilogy. But again, if you're looking for like action, plot, adventure, and drama, you're not gonna find it in like the pace or intensity that you might be wanting. I have become more of a character-driven story the older I've gotten, and I really liked how this was done and how this was told. Her writing is incredible. All the things I had heard before are indeed true. Her prose is really beautiful as well. And also just like funny at times. Another thing I think Robin Hobb does really well is her character development. Not only Fitz's entire character arc from book 1 to 3, but also all of the side characters and other people we meet through Fitz. I know I've read other first-person fantasy stories, but I feel like I haven't read one that does it the way that Robin Hobb did. Because even though, like, we are only in Fitz's mind, we are only seeing the world through his point of view, from what he's thinking and feeling, I felt like I knew every other character so well, and they were so well developed, which I think would be challenging if you're only looking through a lens versus hearing their thoughts and feelings about stuff. But the way Fitz experiences them and interacts with them really came across to me as a reader. Like, I knew these people, which was, I think, just a testament to her talent as far as writing. So this series, like I've mentioned, takes place in the Six Duchies, and this is the map. This is what this world looks like. But I saw on Reddit that someone says it's an upside down Alaska, which I totally agree with. I think this looks so cool. This is totally Alaska. If we were to look at it, I live... I think I live in Icetown. Or somewhere around the Barrens. That's probably where I would be at. That was my other like fun nerdy fact about Robin Hobb that I just really liked. But we meet him at 6 years old. He is dropped off at Buckkeep Palace because his father, Prince Chivalry, has had a bastard child. And 6 years have gone by. Fitz's mother and grandpa are like, you know what? You can have him. I've got another mouth to feed because now her reputation is ruined. And yeah, good luck. See you later. And they just leave Fitz at this palace. Fitz is stuck in this really unique place because while a lot of people look at him like, nah, he's just a bastard child, no one really cares, a lot of people also see him as a threat because he technically still does have Farseer blood. He has Farseer royalty and skills. So he's kind of in this weird place of like being hated and being feared because this 6-year-old boy is going to grow into a man one day who could be dangerous. His father, Prince Chivalry, ends up abdicating the throne, which throws the Buckkeep Palace and the Six Duchies kind of into uproar because he was the crowd favorite, next in line, but he abdicates after this scandal, and Prince Verity is now stepping up to the plate, and his brother, Prince Regal, really wants the throne for himself. So definitely some family drama there with all these royals that we are meeting through Fitz. King Shrewd ultimately takes Fitz into his confidence and trains him to be an assassin. And in the way of the court, just kind of getting that education a noble prince should have gotten. So that is where we kind of start off and meet Fitz. There are 2 different magics in this world that are briefly introduced. In addition to learning how to be an assassin, they also want Fitz to learn this skill. And that is basically like mind speak or like a mind connection So if I'm a skill wielder, I could like enter my Zen skill state and like reach out my mind and see what you're seeing through your eyes, and you wouldn't know I was there. If you are also a skill wielder though, we could communicate like mind to mind across distances, and that becomes really useful when there inevitably is an outside threat on the coast of Buckkeep Palace called the Red Ship Raiders. The other magic in this world is called wit, and this is very similar, but instead of having a mind-to-mind connection with a human, you have a mind connection with an animal. And this is frowned upon in the Six Duchies because they're convinced if you mind bond with an animal, you're going to turn into one yourself and like kill everybody. So these things are briefly introduced, but the magic does open up. This is, like I mentioned, a very slow journey, but the payoff was incredible. It was so cool, and I can't wait to see how the rest of the realm of the Elderlings goes. In the second book, Fitz, Royal Assassin, Fitz comes back from some time away. One arc that is kind of explored for Fitz is a health ailment, a physical problem, which when we are meeting him, he is about 16 to 18 in this book. So being a young man and having a physical problem that like affects how you present, and this is a time where outward appearance is a big deal, like you can't embarrass yourself, you can't shame yourself, all of those things. It does really explore that in an interesting way. Fitz also gets up into, you know, the normal things that young men get into. He has some lady troubles in this book, which is just juicy and ridiculous. The way book 2 ended was so good. The last line is so simple. It is 4 words, and when I tell you I had chills, like literal chills, like finishing this book because of the way things go and how this ends. Oh my gosh, it was so cool. I want to tell you, but I won't. I won't tell you what it says, but it was so good. It was so good. In our last book, obviously this description has to be vague. I don't want to ruin anything, but the biggest theme in this one is Fitz's character arc. It's pretty big overall, but this third book especially is huge because Fitz ultimately has to decide what kind of man he wants to be. Is he angry and resentful? Is he going to live a life of rage? Is he going to live a life of honor? Is he going to turn away from his duties or stand up and fight? Like throughout this series, he really does struggle with being the bastard child. A lot of his choices are taken away, but he also has some really amazing moments with their characters where they reflect things back to him for, I felt like the first time. He's like, oh, like maybe I was in the wrong there. And that's kind of just the interesting thing about being in his head, because we only know what he knows and the interactions he has, but certain things are reflected back that really give him an opportunity for growth. And I just think it was incredible. It was so cool. The third book is also really cool because the world opens up. We do get to travel to some new places within the Six Duchies, and that definitely was exciting to go on what felt like a fantasy traveling quest. That was a fantastic time. This series is not without heartache, not without hardship, but just know, if you put in the work, you are in for a fantastic story. When I finished this book, I wanted to immediately go back to the beginning and restart it. I stopped myself because I did not want to get burnt out, but I can totally see myself visiting Fitz's journey again, and I can only imagine like where his story goes, because we meet Fitz again in the Tawny Man trilogy and to the world conclusion with the Fitz and the Fool trilogy. I'm so excited to see where this goes. I'm kind of nervous. Another thing I want to mention before I go is that this series is currently available through Audible Plus's membership catalog. So if you already get an Audible credit each month, you want to check out their membership catalog. You just want to scroll down, find Robin Hobb. You can go to her author page or just search for whatever book you're looking for. But the FARSEER Trilogy and the Life Ship Trader Trilogy are both included in your Audible Plus membership. So if you want to check this out as an audiobook series, now is the time. I don't know how often Audible changes these things, but that is one way to take advantage of your membership. because I have some credits stacked up. I don't really want to pay for anything right now, but when I saw this was available, I really wanted to take advantage of it because otherwise it's 6 credits just to get through those 6 books. So definitely take advantage of it. Wanted to share that is available on Audible. That is it, you guys. Thank you so much for just this quick little hangout. I just wanted to kind of chat about the FARSEER trilogy, just share some things I really enjoyed. Have you heard of or read Robin Hobb before? Let me know. I can definitely see why this is called a classic fantasy tale. I can see why she is called a masterful voice within fantasy. I definitely agree, and I cannot wait to continue my journey in the realm of the Elderlings. I will see you in the next one. Bye!